Hi everybody, Michael Campbell here, family pastor, going over this Sunday's lesson, how it applies to your children, how it applies to us, and specifically the people rebuilding the temple in Ezra chapter 2 to 6 and how it works with Nehemiah and everything like that. But I wanted to lay out a quick scenario for you that maybe you can relate to. And so imagine this for a moment. It's late on a Saturday night, you've been out of the house all day and you're going from one place to another. And by the end of it, you're like, I don't even know how I got all of that fit into today. And then comes dinner time, and then you're eating dinner and you're getting ready for bed, and then you suddenly remember that tomorrow is Sunday. And you quickly recall that, oh man, you were actually scheduled to serve with the preschoolers tomorrow morning. And right after that, your small group is meeting for lunch, and then you haven't even planned your upcoming week yet, which is actually just as busy as your weekend had been. And you know what? This thought crosses your mind. What if I actually just sit this one out from here on out? I'm not gonna do that. And so has that ever, that scenario been true for you? I know it's been true for me at times, but in Ezra chapter 3, as the work had begun to rebuild the temple, there was an eager desire among God's people, leading them to anticipate what that place would afford them upon its completion. So as the people worked and waited, even in the midst of their exhaustion, they made time to worship even in the midst of it. And so read Ezra chapter 3, verse 6. Not only was the temple incomplete, but the first stage of the build was not yet done. Still, the laborers did not forget or fail to keep the purpose in front of them. The goal was not the temple, it was actually the Lord. We often find ourselves in scenarios like the one that I was talking about, ready to make excuses not to do the things that matter most because we've misplaced our priorities, or at least lost sight of them in the whirlwind of life. Our decisions reflect what has the seat of the greatest importance in our lives. Hebrews chapter 10, 24 to 25 says, "And let us consider to one another in order to provoke love and good works, not neglecting to gather with each other as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging each other, and more as you see that day approaching." So understanding Christ to be our greatest purpose and prize ought to direct our paths towards prioritizing our lives around Christ and around his church. Not only will this be good for us, but it'll also be good for the rest of God's children as well. And we are eager to be with the Lord and his people. Not only will we be productive, but we'll also be truly satisfied. So trying to tell this to children is super important about the daily grind of things, but taking a pause saying, what is my true purpose? So those are one of the things that we're going to be going through this weekend. You'll notice on the rest of the thread, there's some discussion questions and topics, conversation starters, memory verse to go through with the children. So hopefully you can be encouraged and challenged to continue to do this with your family. But until next week, God bless and take care.